Opening scene. Slow cinematic pan across the silhouette of a Rolls-Royce Phantom II as orchestral music plays softly. Narrator voice-over. In an era marked by the lingering glamour of the Roaring Twenties and the sobering realities of the Great Depression, a machine emerged that was more than just transportation. It was a statement, a declaration of elegance, innovation, and British craftsmanship. The broken bar is the 1936 Rolls-Royce Phantom II, a name that whispers prestige and roars exclusivity. Cut to vintage footage of 1930s Britain, bustling streets, elite gentlemen in tuxedos, and stately homes. A legacy begins. To understand the Phantom II, we must first understand its lineage. Rolls-Royce had already established itself as a manufacturer of the best car in the world. The Silver Ghost had set the standard for refinement. The Phantom I carried the torch into the 1920s. But in 1929, with the introduction of the Phantom II, Rolls-Royce wasn't just evolving, they were revolutionizing. And by 1936, the Phantom II had reached the peak of its production run, a mature, refined, and utterly magnificent engineering excellence. At its heart was a 7.7-liter inline-six engine. That's right, a 7,668 cc of engineering excellence. While it didn't boast massive horsepower figures by modern standards, it was never about raw speed. It was about smoothness, silence, grace. Rolls-Royce never officially published horsepower ratings for many of their engines. Instead, they let the experience speak for itself. But unofficially, we're talking somewhere in the realm of 120 horsepower, respectable for its time, but truly revolutionary in how that power was delivered. Matched to a 4-speed manual gearbox, with synchro mesh on third and fourth by the early 1930s, it allowed drivers to glide along the road with unprecedented ease. The Phantom II also marked the end of the traditional chassis design. This was the last of the great body-on-frame Rolls-Royces where bespoke coach builders truly had their moment in the sun. A coach-built masterpiece. Cut to footage of skilled craftsmen working on custom bodies, brushing paint by hand, fitting fine wood veneers. Unlike modern cars stamped out on production lines, each Phantom II was a collaboration. Rolls-Royce delivered the rolling chassis, engine, transmission, suspension, wheels, and radiator. The body, that was up to the customer and the coach builder of their choosing. In 1936, some of the finest names in coach building were at their peak. Park Ward, Hooper, H.J. Mulliner, Barker, Gurney Nutting. These artisans didn't just build bodies, they sculpted dreams. From stately limousines designed to chauffeur royalty to sleek two-door coupes built for continental touring, the Phantom II was the ultimate canvas for automotive art. Each example was truly one of a kind, and each tells its own story. Innovation on four wheels. The Phantom II was more than just a pretty face. Beneath its polished chrome and flowing lines lay advanced technology for the era. Rolls-Royce redesigned the chassis from its predecessor, lowering the frame to improve stability and handling. The rear suspension was semi-elliptic, while the front used a traditional beam axle, but everything was built with precision to ensure a ride so smooth, it became legendary. And then there was the attention to detail. Levers that controlled fuel mixture, ignition timing, and ride height adjustment were all standard. This wasn't just a car, it was a machine tuned to the driver's whim. The brakes, servo-assisted, derived from technology licensed from Hispano-Suiza. They offered stopping power that was leagues ahead of many competitors. A car for the elite. Cut to black and white photos of celebrities, kings, and industrialists beside their Rolls-Royces. The Phantom II wasn't built for everyone. It was built for the select few who could afford the best. Owners included Maharajas, European royalty, American tycoons, and even Hollywood legends. To own a Phantom II was to declare your position not just in society but above it. In 1936, the Phantom II was near the end of its run, but by then it had already cemented its status. It was the final model overseen by Henry Royce himself before his passing in 1933, a fitting swan song to a brilliant engineering legacy. The Continentals. Among the most desirable Phantoms today are the Continental models, built on a shorter chassis and designed for spirited driving across Europe's finest roads. These weren't just chauffeurs' cars, they were for the owners who wanted to drive themselves. Lighter, more agile, and often styled with rakish, aerodynamic bodies, the Continental variants are a testament to Rolls-Royce's versatility. Style that speaks. Let's talk design, because make no mistake, this car is stunning. Whether it's the classic long bonnet with the signature Rolls-Royce grille topped by the Spirit of Ecstasy, or the sweeping fenders and rear-mounted spares, the Phantom II exudes presence. Inside, the opulence continues. Hand-polished wood veneers, rich leather seats, wool carpets, gauges that look like precision instruments. Every detail was crafted with care. No plastic, no shortcuts, just pure, unfiltered luxury. The sound of silence. Rolls-Royce has long been obsessed with one goal: silence. The Phantom II was engineered so meticulously that it earned the nickname the Whispering Giant. It's said that at idle, you could barely hear the engine, that mechanics would place a coin on its edge atop the engine block and it wouldn't fall over. That's how smooth it was. Even at speed, road and wind noise were minimal. This car didn't just move, you floated. A cultural icon, cut to clips from classic films, historical documentaries, old newsreels. The Phantom II wasn't just a car, it was a cultural icon. It featured in films, royal processions, and diplomatic motorcades. In the 1964 film The Yellow Rolls-Royce, it played a starring role, serving as the silent witness to decades of drama and romance. In real life, it served kings and presidents. It carried brides to their weddings, diplomats to their treaties, and moguls to their empires. The end of an era. By 1936, the Phantom II was in its final year of production. It would be succeeded in 1938 by the Phantom IE, a radical leap into the V12 era. But the Phantom II remains a milestone. It was the last model to be personally influenced by Henry Royce, the last of the great straight sixes in the Phantom lineage, the last with coach-built bodies as standard. In total, only 1,680 Phantoms were produced between 1929 and 1936. That includes all variants, making them exceedingly rare today. Why it still matters. Why should we care about a nearly 90-year-old car? Because the Phantom II isn't just a relic, it's a benchmark. It represents a time when luxury wasn't mass-produced, when every car was a personal expression, when engineering was art, and because, even now, in an age of autonomous driving and electric engines, the Phantom II stands as a reminder of what happens when you pursue perfection without compromise. Final thoughts. Closing shot. Phantom II gliding along a tree-lined road as the sun sets behind it. They don't make them like this anymore, not because they can't but because they won't. The world has changed, priorities have shifted, but in the quiet majesty of the 1936 Rolls-Royce Phantom II, the spirit of timeless excellence lives on. If you ever get the chance to see one in person, take it in. Every curve, every switch, every purr of the engine, it all tells a story of a car that wasn't just built, it was crafted. And in that story, the Phantom II remains immortal. Fade to black. Text on screen, the 1936 Rolls-Royce Phantom II, a perfection in motion. Let me know if you want this adapted to a voiceover script format or broken into parts for video editing.